All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Locked On Avalanche and the Avs over the weekend. If you want to include Friday on the weekend, which we do, once 5 o'clock rolls around, that's considered the weekend on a Friday. Yeah, 2 games for the Avs, 2 wins, and the big one against Vegas. Wasn't all pretty, but man, if that doesn't kind of encapsulate what this team can do, I don't know what does. And so on today's episode, of course, we will have our sound check. And personally, I just realized, it just really reinforced my pick. I know what Kyle's is, and that's going to be interesting. Stay tuned for that. We're going to talk about this game right now. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. On today's episode, we, of course, will be talking about the Avalanche Vegas game on Saturday. We will be getting to our sound check. And are there new Avalanche jerseys on the way? Adidas has teased something, and we need more. And did a little bit of sleuthing. Not us. We have to give credit to the internet. But we may have found out what it is already, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But first things first, thank you for making this your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. Follow the show on social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, opinions to lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow the show on our YouTube channel over on the YouTube. Hit subscribe and get notified when a new show goes live. So the Avs with a 3-2 win over Vegas, once again in Vegas. Crazy game because it wasn't it was a back and forth type of game, but the Avs were down.
Yeah.
And all it took was 30 seconds. Less than that. Was it 28 seconds? And that's all that this team needs sometimes to take the lead. And another 2 points is in the pocket of the Avalanche. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, it started out. It's the slow starts. They're almost hulking up like Hulk Hogan back in the 80s used to do. Just kind of get defeated, and then they would just start shaking and then come all the way back. And it had that funky vibe to it. Like the Avalanche go down, and then here's Burakovsky out of nowhere.
Hey.
Then the Avs go down again, and for some godforsaken reason, JT Kuemper. So you're like, okay, this game's got that vibe. And it just continued on through the game, and we wrapped it up real clean.
Well, Vegas, it seemed like their game plan was working for most of the game. For 59 minutes and 30 seconds, it was working. And you just have, I don't want to say it was a lapse in their game plan. It's just sometimes the puck bounces that way. And I'm talking about the second goal when it just turned the puck over. Who had the second assist on that absolutely incredible pass from Makar? It was Rantanen. So Rantanen was kind of just in the neutral zone. So he didn't have the momentum, but Makar had the momentum going through the neutral zone. He passed it to him. That play, I can't emphasize how so few people can do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even in the NHL, your superstar, that needed to be a superstar to a superstar type of play. That is so difficult to pull off, and to have that accuracy that Nathan MacKinnon had on that pass, that's your superstars coming through when they needed to in a very important moment. That was, we talk about the Cale Makar spin move all the time. I've watched that play from beginning to end, not just the pass from Rantanen. It's like they all knew exactly what to do, where to go, where to be, and it ended exactly like they thought it was going to. It was a thing of beauty.
Yeah, and you see that, and we talked about it on the bonus Saturday episode that we had about the cohesion with this team right now. And you see it on not just that top line, like with Mikko, Nate, and Cale. Like, you even see it on these lines that, like the fourth line, the third line, you see Nuke making passes, and they just know where everybody is at a certain time, especially the defense. And games like this, when you have that cohesion and you know your teammates inside and out and where they're going to be and how they play and where they like the puck, moments like this is where it pays off when you
Yeah.
need it.
Well, and the Avs, it was a struggle. It
Mm-hmm.
was a struggle to get anything going. And even though they took that lead, 3 shots on goal
Yeah,
in the third period. That's it.
that's it.
2 of them went in. It's not what you want. It's not how you draw it up, and you don't want to rely on games like that. But that just goes to show, like they kept fighting, and that's what I love about this team is they know like they just got to keep fighting, keep
Yeah.
playing their game. Something will materialize, and when it does, you have to capitalize on it. And that's exactly what happened and then after that goal, after that McKinnon goal, they were on the defensive for
Mm-hmm.
the rest of the game. And you're trying to get another one to kind of give you a little bit of a cushion, but they couldn't get it. And
Yeah.
and Vegas they had to. Vegas now was in offensive mode. They got
Mm-hmm.
to turn things around, so they got to have defensive players engaging, and then they were. But for the Avs, it's just you keep fighting, you keep playing, you don't surrender, you don't give up. And why would this team, from all these comebacks that they've had, just against Winnipeg,
Yeah.
a 3-point deficit or a 3-goal deficit they came back on. So you think you can't come back on a 1-goal deficit against Vegas? 100% they believe that, and they just keep fighting.
And this is going to be one of those games that once we get to the playoffs or we start, talking about playoff matchups, this is going to be a game that we're going to look back on because you could take the second period out of this game. Nothing happened in the second period. And you can look how the defense was playing in the first period. They were collapsing on themselves. They were kind of lost. We've been seeing that a lot. But then after the 2 quick goals in the third period, there was about 5 minutes left that defense had to stand up against wave after wave of Vegas trying to take that game to overtime. So if you see how the 2 periods the defense acted and reacted, it's night and day. And if the team, we mentioned it before, in-game adjustments, if this team can make in-game adjustments like that and it be this noticeable, it speaks volumes for what this team can do in the playoffs, playing the same team 4 to 7 times in about a 2-week span.
Oh yeah, no, this makes you feel good, and again, to do it on Vegas's home ice, kind of just makes you feel good.
Yeah.
If you're playing these guys in the playoffs as well. Yeah, the first period, the turnovers by the Avs were horrific.
Mm-hmm.
So many neutral zone turnovers that was just giving Vegas really good odd man rushes, and one of them got through. The first one,
Yeah.
Marchessault got through, but you got to give Kuemper a lot of credit here. Once
Yep.
again, I want to talk about him, and we'll talk about him because he was on the ice, and then we'll talk about one of the Avalanche that was not on the ice. Yeah, what does that mean? But first, we are going to talk about Built Bar. You know Built Bar. You love Built Bar. It's the greatest tasting protein bar on the market. And even if you've given up on your New Year's resolutions, you can still include it in your healthy eating regimen. And you can even try the new Built Bar Puffs. Did you get yours in the mail yet?
They will be in tomorrow.
You got your tracking number. Very nice. All right. So Built Bar Puffs are the first ever protein infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy, and they're not just a protein bar. They are a treat and covered in 100% real chocolate. And they come in some incredible flavors like cinnamony churro, coconut marshmallow, and banana cream pie. So they are low calorie, high protein. Replace your candy bar with Built Bar. They're better than a typical candy bar, which can be anywhere from 200 to 300 calories, but Built Bars are 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 grams of net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. So go to built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off of your order. Once again, that promo code is LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. So we mentioned Darcy Kuemper and, had a couple of rough games. One of them against Buffalo. The Boston one is the Boston one. And then you had Pablo Francouz spell him, and you had him come back for this one. You kind of felt like, he just needed a little bit of a rest. And I thought he played great. Again,
Yeah.
I do. Like he let in a couple of, one was the breakaway. What was I said Marchessault was the breakaway. Was he the break? No, I think Chandler Stevenson was the breakaway. That was the first
that
goal.
first one.
Yeah. So, which is tough. That's tough it's not easy for just essentially a penalty shot coming at him. Never easy. And then the one on Marchessault got one on him, and then he had to be good. You know what I mean? Like we were saying in the beginning, after the Avs got that second goal, or third goal technically with McKinnon, and they were on the defense, like he was a big part of shutting things down. And he got 36 shots against him. And he needed to be every bit as good as he was for them to win. He's gonna have games like he had in Boston. And what you want to see is, all right, take a little break. And how do you perform when you come back?
Yeah.
And the way that he performed on Saturday, I'm more than satisfied with that.
Yeah. And we've seen both Pavel Francouz and Darcy Kuemper pitch shutouts, which is good. And we've also seen them let up a couple goals early, and then that's it. They shut the door and they take ownership of the game. And seeing that out of Darcy Kuemper in this game you felt confident. You could see it in the way he was playing, and the defense can feel that confidence as well. And they also were playing off that.
Well, you felt confident in that Vegas was going to have to work for a goal. You know what I mean? You didn't feel like he was just going to give up an easy goal.
Yeah.
So that you felt confident in. But the way Vegas was just bombarding them, you're like, one of them is going to sneak in somehow.
Yeah.
They didn't. Obviously. They shut them down. Some of the sticking points for the Avs, which we talk about all the time, face-offs, not good. Pretty much 60% to 40%. Power plays for the Avs, technically 0 for 2. But the Burakovsky one, I believe, I'm pretty sure the Burakovsky one was once again seconds after, not even seconds, maybe milliseconds after the power play was over. So technically it doesn't count, but statistically they are 0 for 2, which continues to be a little bit of a problem. And I guess you can look at it as, well, they, it took them all of the 2 minutes plus a half a second to get one. And why are we waiting that long to try to get a goal? I mean, it is a little bit of a sticking point right now for the Avalanche. You can't deny that.
And we almost had it broken the other night against Winnipeg, but Gabe Landeskog also scored in the same fashion.
Another one. Yep.
And the coulda, woulda, shoulda, they're still 2 for their last 30.
Right.
So it's not good at all. And if you're this far up in the standings and you're looking this good against really good teams, boy, it would be a lot nicer to have just one go in.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
it's tough to, be kind of picking apart things when the team is playing so well. But it's one of those things where, like, those games that that are close wouldn't be if they could just rattle off an extra power play or two. That's what's keeping other teams in the game against the Avalanche. And, that's hockey, and it's it's unlike any other sport because, we've seen it. The Arizona Coyotes can beat the best team in the league on any given day. So you need those goals.
Yeah.
You need them to distance yourself during the course of a game. And when you're not, you're letting the other team hang around. The Avs have been lucky enough to shut down the rest of the game, but you don't want to rely on that. They're like, well, I was going to say they're like free throws. They're not as easy as free throws.
No,
but you know what I mean? They're they're points and they're goals for the taking.
Yeah.
And your percentages are not going to be as high as free throws.
Yeah.
But you want them to be a lot better than, like you said, 2 for 30.
Yeah, and we're not nitpicking here. What we're doing is pointing out things that need to be improved for the playoffs. We know what this team's potential is. Like, this is a deep run team in the playoffs. And you can't be a deep run team in the playoffs going 2 for 30 on the power play. Like in the playoffs, you don't get crazy scores like you just saw the other night with Toronto and Detroit. You don't get 10-7 games in the playoffs. It's skill versus skill. And if you have the opportunity for a man advantage in the playoffs, you better know how to convert those because you're going to need them.
Yep. And the Avs only managed to get 21 shots on goal. A lot of that is to Vegas's credit for their defense, but the Avs did out-hit Vegas 29-13. And I would, recommend going back if you want to and looking at some of the stats for the playoff series the Avs had against Vegas. Those numbers were in the 40s.
Yeah.
For hits. That was a brutal series. And, that I think that's part of the game that's missing for Vegas is they are not they're still a kind of physical team, but not like they used to be a year ago. So, and for the Avalanche, whose game is not to be insanely physical, to out hit them almost 2-1, it's kind of surprising to me. So,
yeah, I don't know where you're getting those numbers. The Avalanche aren't a physical team.
No, they are.
I hear it all the time.
All the time.
But you see Cale Makar and EJ doing that on a nightly basis. So
yeah. So one of the guys not on the ice Saturday for the Colorado Avalanche is one of the guys that keeps getting thrown around. Well, recently, but pretty much the entire time he's been on the Avalanche. Tyson Jost did not have a good game on Winnipeg, and Jared Bednar benched him. And he told I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but he was just like, I'm trying to find the right combinations of things. And sometimes that basically includes benching some guys. And Saturday was Tyson Jost's turn. How much do you read into this? Because on one hand, Jared Bednar has done this before, not with Tyson Jost, but other players. He's done this at the beginning of the year with Alex Newhook. He's done this with Nikita Zadorov. He's done this obviously with Curtis McDermott. So he does give he's dropped Burakovsky down in the lineup. Like he does this. But when we're in the portion of the season that we're in with, trade rumors swirling, are guys like us who do a podcast on the team going to read deep into this and say, like, his days with the Avs are officially numbered?
That's what everyone initially thinks. It's that time of the year. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Yeah,
somebody's not starting. You're watching the game with one eye and watching Twitter with the other, waiting for that breaking news. But honestly, if you have to fire up Burakovsky by putting him up on the first line to get him going, is this Bednar's way of getting Jost going? Say, hey, we could do it just fine without you. Trade deadline is coming up. It's either play now or we're going to continue and you'll be in Ottawa.
I mean, I don't know. Again, it's tough to read how Jared Bednar operates and what his mindset is with him. Because like you just said, like with Burakovsky, it was prop him up in the lineup to try to jumpstart him. With Jost, is it the opposite? I mean, with Burakovsky, you can feel like, all right, I'm going to prop him up into the first line. And when he's playing with Rantanen and McKinnon, I'll be okay. You can't really prop Jost up into a second line just to try to get him. You can't do that. So you kind of have to go the opposite direction in, he's a coach's decision. And is that enough to get him going? If it is, he has a short amount of time to prove anything.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look good for this to happen to you at this point in the season. And like I said to you earlier when you were texting, like when you do that, his value goes down even more.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like he's not going to be the guy that's involved in a Claude Giroux deal. And that's the current NHL player that you are giving them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If the asking price for Giroux is, a current roster player, a prospect, and a draft pick, he's not the current roster player.
Yeah.
If he is now on the bench.
You can't say it's because we have such a full roster when you're giving McDermott 3 minutes.
Right, man. That's right.
You can't make that. You can't make that pitch saying, "Well, we had such a full roster, everybody's got to get a shot and keep them warm," but you're only playing Kurt McDirt 3 minutes, and then Jost is sitting there. Like it really diminishes his value. And then when it comes, like, does he even get to be dealt playing like this.
I don't know. I mean, if he is, that is a genuine, depth for depth, and let's move a guy who both guys are in need of new scenery.
Yep.
That's basically what that move is. It's one of those. You know what it is, man? It's one of those Ryan Graves moves.
Yeah,
In the middle of the night, nobody pays attention to it at all, and it worked for Ryan Graves.
it did.
And that, well, for his time in the Avalanche, it works.
Yep.
Does that, as I feel like that's kind of what's going to happen if they do move Jost. It's just going to be one of those, the Giroux deal, whoever he gets dealt to. Those are the headline grabbing moves. And then when the music is rolling on NHL Tonight, say, hey, thanks, thanks for watching. Have a good night. Oh, and by the way, Tyson Jost was dealt for so and so. Like that's
Cash
the type of deal.
considerations.
Right? Yeah, it's the Ron Burgundy showing the squirrel water skiing at the end of the newscast. Is basically what it is, and you feel bad about that, but he's not moving the needle anymore. And if it does get dealt, it's a depth move, and you just need new scenery. And sometimes that's what a player needs. So we'll see, though. I mean, the next game is Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
We'll see what the decision is for him on Tuesday. So I don't feel like they're completely giving up on him. If the Avalanche have proven anything, it's they don't just give up on guys at the drop of a hat. So we'll see.
I hope Sakic can shine this up and make this leaky bucket into a watering can and ship it out.
Well, we'll see. All right. Let's hear from BetOnline. We'll get to our sound check. We'll get to the jerseys. And then there's one other thing that I wanted to cover in this segment, which we didn't get to, but we absolutely will because it's absolutely ridiculous. Looking at you, Vegas. But first, betonline.net. And of course, the football season is over, but the sports roll on, including the basketball season. It's in full steam ahead mode for both pro and college hoops. You can get the latest odds, totals, player performance props to where the next fired coach is going to land at betonline.net. It's the number one spot for all of your sport betting needs, your sports scores, podcasts, and news. And it is not just basketball. BetOnline.net is your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC. So head over to the website today and use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. That's betonline.net, where the game starts. All right, let's get to our sound check. And we did the one for Winnipeg. Now we're doing one for Vegas. And these are the songs that we feel best summarize the action, in this case, against the Vegas Golden Knights. And if you are a subscriber to Spotify, you can go find. We add these every next day. We always add them to a Spotify playlist. LOPN Soundcheck is where you can search and find that and follow along whenever these things go up. So let's hear from Mr. Sullivan. What do you got today for our soundcheck against the Vegas Golden Knights?
Watching that Vegas game, feeling that Vegas game, it was an angsty game. It was a punk rocky game.
Okay.
And we're going Newfound Glory. The song is simply titled Vegas. Listen to the song.
Okay.
It's one of those, like, I play guitar. Like, it's a lot of my songs, it's you listen to it, you can watch like either the condensed game or whatever. You can feel the song and what you're seeing, and this is exactly the situation for this song. Vegas by Newfound Glory.
It could be like background music as the game is going on.
Yes.
Basically. So it's like a
soundtrack. Yeah, the soundtrack to the game. Yep.
All right. I don't listen to a ton of Newfound Glory, but I should. I'll definitely listen to that one. Clearly,
I went through a phase, bro.
Did you really? I never did with them. I don't know why. I never was in a Newfound Glory phase, but I know a lot of people that were. All right, so that'll be on the set list. And for me, again, there was like a few that I was going between, but in watching that goal, that McKinnon goal, the McCartan to McKinnon goal, and then them coming out on top and only having 3 shots on goal in the third, don't you just get the feeling that this team is unstoppable?
Hey.
And that is my song. It's a band called Ad Infinitum. It's a, they're kind of, and I had to go with this one just because it's so like from the first 5 seconds, just there's a little bit of a guitar and then boom, right into it. And it is kind of like what you're talking about with the Newfound Glory. It's just like this. It fits the moment
Yeah.
of that play, like right after that play, and McKinnon just getting like he gets fired up, obviously,
Yeah.
but he doesn't get. If you watch him, he doesn't get too fired up after goals
Yeah.
because he kind of expects to score, but he knew the importance of that one.
Yeah.
And he was just like he was yelling, like he was just fired up. And I had to go with that song "Unstoppable" by Ad Infinitum because it's just listen to it and you're like, oh, dude, yeah, this is getting me pumped.
Yeah.
So check it out. Both those songs will be on the set list or the playlist early Monday morning. So all right. All right. Want to get to before we get to the jerseys. This stuff bothers me. Does it bother you?
Yes.
Does it?
Absolutely.
Some people are like, that really doesn't matter in the long run. And I want to disagree with that. And what I'm talking about is, after a hockey game, they do one of the best things in sports, which is they give you the 3 stars of the game. And if a player on the other team, on the visiting team, in a losing effort has a good game, you throw them some cred. You give them a 3rd star. Sometimes you give them a 2nd star if they net a hat trick or something in a losing effort.
Mm-hmm.
Vegas decided to give the 1st star and 2nd star to their own players while giving the 3rd star to JT Compher. Not even the guy that had the winning goal in Nathan McKinnon, to JT Compher. And their 1st star of the game was Jonathan Marchessault, who had a single goal, which I guess was their game-winning goal because that was their 2nd goal. So if the Avs stopped scoring, he would have had the game-winning goal, I guess. And then they gave their 2nd star to Laurent. I can't even pronounce his last name properly. Brossoit? I don't even know how to pronounce this dude's name. Okay. And he had a .857 save percentage on the night. I think I would really like someone to do some efforting to see if anybody in the history of the game has ever been given a 2nd star with a .857 save percentage. When you had the opposing goalie had a .944 save percentage on 32 shots. Why do you do this, Vegas? Are they that petty where they can't give the opposing team a little bit more dap? Including, like, if you want to give one player on the Avalanche a star and you don't give it to Nathan McKinnon, that's because he's Nathan McKinnon and you don't want him showing up on your jumbotron at the end of the game, so you give it to JT Compher. Come on, man, this is just stupid.
That's exactly what that was. That was Vegas being petty. Like it's their MO at this point.
It is.
Why we should anticipate anything else is beyond us, but to give it to JT, like, granted, it was his 1st goal in about 8 years. But yeah, Nathan McKinnon had the game winner, and hey, Avalanche fans travel. So the Avalanche fans would have loved to see Nathan McKinnon on that Jumbotron.
I was seeing a lot of videos getting posted on social media of Avalanche fans having quite the time, kind of like in the concourse and stuff like that. They showed up. So good on you, Avalanche fans. But this is just more of the same from, like the All-Star break where who was it that they had win that one? Was it Pietrangelo? I think it was Pietrangelo.
And
he just did the stupidest thing, and they had him win. That stuff is so big to their ego that they feel like if they're not always at the top, like, people are going to think less of them.
That's why John Hamm's not on Apple TV.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So it's annoying. It's annoying, and maybe they do it so guys like us get annoyed and talk about it on our podcast, but
you win.
Just embarrassing. It is. So, all right. And then finally, Adidas posted to their social media accounts. It says Classics revived on 3/1/22. So that is on Tuesday. We're bringing back 6 classic designs from around the league available to shop at adidas.com. And then you had pointed out to me that on their Instagram page, they have the same post, And then, when you tag people within a post on Instagram, when you touch the image, it spits up who's tagged. And the Colorado Avalanche are one of those teams that are tagged. So we also did some more digging, and it seems like maybe they've already put these out there. It seems like they're on their website already, which is very bad. I don't want to say customer service. Not good. This is like the Washington. What are they now? The form. Yeah, starts with an R. I don't even care. I don't even know.
But that shows you how good they did on their team name.
Yeah. That was like leaked.
Yeah.
Weeks before, they had like within the arena, they had the team name up, and people had drones out there, and they could see through these windows of what they were putting up there. And I don't know if it seems like maybe Adidas has done the same thing, because the 5 teams, they say 6 in their post, and there's 5 teams that they have up on their website, and they are old uniforms. For the Avalanche, it's another Nordiques one, but a little bit of a twist on it, right?
It's that one, the blue.
Right. Yeah.
For those on YouTube, it's the blue and white fleur-de-lis Nordiques, but yes, with a twist.
It's got the igloo is not red, it is white.
Correct.
And I could have sworn I've seen that on like the early 80s Nordiques ones, and I'm gonna go back to try to find it again. But
Mandela effect gets us all.
Yeah, but all the ones I'm seeing are the red ones. So it seems like that's what it is. And the other teams are the Lightning, the Sharks, the Kings, and the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I just love that, because when I first saw 6 teams, I'm like, oh, original 6. Original 6 gets everything once again. But I like the fact that they went and did. Maybe they're going to do these like in waves, like 6 every couple weeks or something like that, and then eventually get the whole league in. But these are the first ones, and if that's what it is, I mean, are we? They're $150, $150 according to the website. Is this more money getting dropped?
Honestly, I would say yes, because the fit that I have over on the wall, it's not. I don't know if anybody's bought these new Adidas jerseys. Contrary to what we're accustomed to, like the crest, it's a much different design, and it's not a hard crest. Like if you wear a hockey jersey, you've got that big Avalanche A, and every time you move, you got that big
with you. Yeah.
But these new jerseys, like it's a different design and a different weave. So when you're moving, it moves with you, and it's a lot more comfortable. And if you're going to get that out of the Nordique logo, I might be dropping some money.
Yeah, but there's it doesn't say if there's like a name on the back, or if you can get a name on the back. I don't like plain back uniforms. I don't own any. I shouldn't say I don't own any. I do own some, but I didn't buy them on my own. People have gotten them for me.
Mine are about 80-90% of mine are former players, because I'm very superstitious. It's either plain or former players.
Right. Yeah, I don't like empty back uniforms. So if they're, and I was telling you, like, I don't get the impression that these are going to be worn in game.
Yeah.
I get the impression that these are just something Adidas is putting up on their website, to obviously make money. And there's going to be people that flock to these because they're, the older style, especially the Sharks one, where the lower third is white, but it's got the gray and black stripes on them. Like, that's going to appeal to people. The Penguins one is not the navy blue, the powder blue one. I don't remember this one with the black on the bottom, with the black stripes. I remember the powder blue, but I don't remember with the stripes on the bottom. And the Kings one is the yellow one with the king helmet, or the king crown, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, it's cool that they're selling these things, but do we have player options to put on the back? If not, I think it's a pass for me.
And they still haven't announced that 6th one on that website leak.
Right. Yeah.
And if it is not the Islander fish stick logo, I will riot.
Well, I think they might hang on to that for when they do Reverse Retro Volume 2.0.
That will be a day one purchase for me. It is one of my favorite jerseys of all time. The Sabres are going back to the red and black next year as a third alternate. I'll be getting that as well.
Okay. All right. we'll see. We only got to wait a couple days before we get like an official announcement. It does seem like if these are them, they leaked, and I'm sure they will sell like hotcakes. So, all right. Until next time, which is tomorrow, we will be back and discussing the March schedule, and maybe play a little bit game of What If. Why not? That's always fun. But until then, we will be back tomorrow and talking more Avs. So thank you for making this your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. He is Mr. Kyle Sullivan, Shaggy Von Doom. I am Chris Maselli, and you're listening to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, and we'll see all you guys tomorrow.